Good Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchak. We have breaking news this afternoon. Several federal agencies carrying out an operation at a St. Paul business. Everything unfolded around 10 this morning at Brotex Inc. It's a business that makes microfiber towels and rags. Armed ICE, FBI, and DEA agents were seen at 830 North Hampton Avenue. They were met with protesters and activists who were seen pushing agents and hitting federal vehicles. Our crews on scene saw at least one person being taken away in a vehicle, though it's not clear what for. People on scene say as many as 15 people were taken into custody. We spoke with a man who says his father was detained.
Took my dad.
Took your dad?
He's even a criminal. He comes and works. He supports our family. And them taking him away from me is a big, just impacted our families. Don't know what they took away from us.
The city of St. Paul says they were not notified of any federal operations happening today and their officers were not on scene. The FBI confirms it was there, but directed any questions about what happened today to ICE. Here's St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter, who showed up to the incident shortly after it ended.
And one of the concerns that we have is when we see them operating with, the vests that say police and things like that. That's really unfortunate because we work hard to make sure that folks know that our St. Paul police officers are not and will not ever be ICE agents. That's not the work that we do, and we work hard to make sure that folks know that we'll never criminalize somebody's identity.
We have several crews on the story today, so make sure you stay with KARE 11 for the very latest on this federal operation on air and online. Taking you live now from the U.S. Capitol, where House lawmakers are voting right now to compel the Justice Department to release all their files on sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Ahead of the vote, bipartisan lawmakers held a press conference together with survivors of Epstein's abuse, who were speaking out on the trauma they experienced in their youth.
I would just like to give a little reminder that this was me at 14 years old. I was a child. I was in 9th grade. He stole a lot from me.
Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva joined other Democratic lawmakers calling for the House to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
We don't know yet what every document will show, but that's exactly why they must be released. And while the House will hopefully pass this legislation today, this is just the first step. The bill must pass the Senate, the president must sign it, and even then, the DOJ must implement the law fully and responsibly.
After resisting the move for months, President Trump is also now urging Republicans to vote for the bill, saying he would sign it. Advocates say the files could reveal potential ties between Epstein and powerful people like Trump. But the president denies any wrongdoing and has never been charged. Just in this afternoon, a panel of federal judges is now barring Texas from using its redrawn congressional map ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. The court ordered Texas to use its previous map instead, which passed in 2021. The new map was enacted earlier this year after President Trump called on Texas Republicans to draw a new map that could result in the party gaining 5 seats in Congress. Texas enacted the new district lines in August after a major delay by Democratic lawmakers who fled the state to avoid voting on the measure. That ruling is likely to be appealed. This afternoon, a northern Minnesota sheriff's deputy is recovering at home after he was hurt in a shootout. The Cass County Sheriff said the deputy was shot in the thigh Sunday night in Turtle Lake Township near Walker. The sheriff says deputies were investigating reports of gunshots near homes when they came across a man who then took off running. Later, they say there was a shootout and that man died on the scene. The BCA is investigating. Today, the man charged in a deadly hit and run in St. Paul is making his first court appearance. Police say 39-year-old Michael Smith hit Amber Deneen and her 2 dogs near St. Anthony Avenue and Aldine Street Thursday, just a few blocks west of Allianz Field. According to authorities, Smith was caught on surveillance video just minutes later checking his car for damage at a nearby gas station. He told officers he doesn't remember hitting anyone and thought he just ran over some traffic cones. Deneen's friends and family held a vigil last night to remember the artist and animal lover.
A beautiful person, a beloved wife, and a very, very important member of our family. And we're all just shattered in a million pieces that will never be fully put back together.
Also at the vigil last night, attendees called on the city to improve the road where the crash happened. Neighbors say that area near Aldine and St. Anthony is known for speeding and drag racing. One person we spoke to says he's called the city 10 times in the last year alone, asking for more lighting, speed bumps, and a traffic signal.
The solution to this problem is not hard, and the consequences for doing nothing are unacceptable.
We've tried every way to get them to do something about the street.
We contacted the city's Public Works Department. Officials there wouldn't answer our questions, referring us instead to police and citing the active investigation. This afternoon, a teenager is recovering after being shot in Minneapolis. Police say the 16-year-old boy was shot near Cedar Avenue and East Lake Street around 3:30 yesterday afternoon. Now, he's expected to be okay, but no arrests have been made. There's also no word on what led up to that shooting. With the government now reopened, airports are beginning to resume normal operations. But are the airports ready for what's expected to be a record-setting Thanksgiving travel rush? NBC's Emily Ikeda has the latest.
Hey there, well, I'll start with a good sign. You see all of the green and on-time departures on the flight boards behind me. Certainly an encouraging sign for flyers as major airlines are reassuring passengers that they are ready for the impending holiday travel rush despite the recent government shutdown. United says excluding FAA mandated cancellations, its on-time performance is actually better than this time last year. And American says it will fly 80,000 flights between this Thursday and December 2nd, even adding some late night flights to help passengers traveling home, part of that return rush after the holiday, as we see so many people preparing to gear up for traveling over the Thanksgiving holiday. Another sign of normalcy, I'll point out, there were fewer than 100 flight cancellations yesterday, certainly in stark contrast to what we saw in the days prior with thousands of flight cancellations piling up. Still, some travelers, because of the weeks of travel nightmares, they are wary to travel over the holiday season and even changing their Thanksgiving bookings. One aviation analytics firm, Cirium, found that Thanksgiving bookings dipped by about 5% in the beginning of November. And AAA has acknowledged that their forecast for the Thanksgiving travel period could shift if air travelers decide to drive to their Thanksgiving holiday destination because of the recent flight cancellations. Look, industry experts say if you haven't booked your holiday travel yet, you want to keep an eye out for those early morning flights because they have in general a 25 to 30% better arrival rate. Back to you.
The holiday travel period begins next Tuesday, but as airports prepare for the busy season, more than 250 food workers at MSP are threatening to go on strike. They say they will walk off the job if they don't reach an agreement with their employer, HMS Host, by midnight next Monday. HMS Host employs workers in both terminals. 12 businesses would be affected, including Starbucks, Shake Shack, Chili's, and Chick-fil-A. Workers say they're in need of better pay and lower health insurance costs, adding that their wages have not kept up with inflation, and some of them have to work 2 full-time jobs to support their families.
So it's been tough for the last 3 years to work like this. So I hope the company increase our wages and give us a better raise so I can work only one job. One job should be enough.
Union leaders say they've bargained with HMS Host for more than a year and are currently about $1 apart in negotiations. We reached out to both MSP and HMS Host, but have not heard back. Right now, many homeowners are opening their property tax estimates and finding double-digit increases. Next year, property taxes will rise across the board to the tune of nearly $1 billion. Danny Spiewak has more on the shockwaves being felt across communities.
Brian Hansen doesn't mind yard work.
Of course, the leaves every once in a while.
That just comes with owning a home. But those property taxes?
It makes you want to think about moving.
Hansen has lived in White Bear Lake for 35 years. But next year, the city could increase the property tax levy by up to 9.5%, while Ramsey County has proposed a 9.7% hike.
I'm equally dismayed and disgruntled. it's not going down at all. Same old, same old.
According to preliminary data, property taxes across Minnesota may spike by a combined $948 million in 2026, a 6.9% increase year over year.
I'm not sure exactly what's driving it.
The answer is complicated and depends on your school district, city, or county.
No county is excited about this property tax news.
Matt Hilgart with the Association of Minnesota Counties says rising costs are part of the problem.
Staffing, inflation on construction projects, those kind of things.
State and federal mandates in social services are also putting pressure on counties. For example, the One Big Beautiful Bill reduced federal reimbursements for SNAP and added millions in administrative costs to counties for both SNAP and Medicaid.
The biggest concern that we have, aside from the sticker shock of this year, is our concern that this plays out next year and the year after. Because some of the shifts that we're talking about here are simply historic, and we're concerned about our ability to sustainably budget for them.
More often than not, local governments are hiking property taxes to make up the difference.
And they've been going up and up.
Just another joy of homeownership for Brian Hansen.
And for people who've been around and doing the work themselves, you feel like you get it kicked in the pants.
Although local counties and cities have set their maximum property tax increases, they could still lower them before 2026 rolls around. But data from the state does not include the dozens of school referendums that passed on the November ballot, which will hike property taxes even more. Stay with us. There's more news and weather coming up after the break.